Good evening. Welcome to Community and Technology, where we connect the global community with news, information, and resources that we hope will help improve your life. I'm Stu Reed, and I'm here with some very special guests today. Three ladies from Cooper Park Resident Council in Brooklyn, and Miss Debra Benders, Miss Latisha Graham, and Miss Geraldine
Lawrence.
Lawrence. Thank you, Jerry.
Oh.
Thank you, Jerry. I'm going to let each one of them introduce themselves and talk a little bit about what they do. Just full disclosure, myself and my partner, Doug Frazier, we've been working with these ladies, helping to bring some technology solutions to their development. And it has a lot to do with public safety and quality of life. And this month being Emergency Preparedness Month, I thought it makes sense to invite them on and talk about what we're doing. But let me have folks introduce. Debra Benders, please introduce yourself.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Debra Benders, Cooper Park Resident Council President. I've served this position for 2 terms already, but I've been involved with the development in the TA aspect for over 30 years. I've been out in this development over 55 years, raised 4 children here. This is a good community. I mean, every community has issues, but we don't have as many as other places have. And it's really good to be here. It's really good to be here.
Well, good. Thank you. And welcome. Ms. Geraldine, introduce yourself, please.
Yes, I've been a resident of Cooper Park houses for 55 years. I've enjoyed living here. I have no problems with being here. I'm also the resident council treasurer, and also I work with St. Nick's with the school settlement house, and I love this community.
Okay. And Ms. Latisha Graham, you got to unmute yourself and please introduce yourself.
Hello, Latisha Graham. I've been here over 40-something years. I raised 2 kids out here and I volunteer.
Okay, well, these 3 ladies are extremely active and progressive in terms of running their resident council, and I must say the development looks amazingly clean, safe. I mean, it's really feels so comfortable being there. But I want them to talk about it. That's just my impression as a visitor. You know, we just completed Deb a 10-week or maybe an 8-week training session where we taught a number of your residents about walkie-talkie and emergency communications. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about what that was like.
That was a really great experience, and it got us to communicate with each other better. Just in the case, if there's an emergency, we will be able to communicate with each other. I mean, if the phone lines go down, we have the walkie-talkies to talk to each other. I know when COVID hit, a lot of people didn't have ways to communicate with each other, especially the seniors. They were locked in their homes. And if you didn't go knock on their door to check on them, you didn't know whether somebody was okay or not. This program allows us the access to reach out through either your phone app, as long as it's phone service, but with the walkie-talkie, you can still check on somebody. With this program, we are allowed to, every morning we call in and give building checks, which means that their calls is like checking on whether you have hot water, your elevator's working, and in the wintertime will be the heat service. So in the event that you don't have these services, you get a ticket number, and we'll follow with NYCHA to make sure the management is doing their job as well. Now, we say the cleanliness out here, I believe the reason why it's so clean is because we have a great line of communication with the staff that works here. And it's not only NYCHA doing their part, but the residents have to do their part as well. And I sit down with the manager, myself and the treasurer, once a month. And we give updates about what we're doing as the resident council and what NYCHA is doing on their end. So communication is a key to a lot of stuff. People just don't realize when NYCHA goes home at night, we're still here. And this program allows us to watch each other. It's us watching us. It's not NYCHA watching us, not the police watching. It's us watching us. Like growing up out here, there was a time where your mother was my mother. So if I did something, that parent was able to chastise me. Not saying we want to chastise these kids, we want people to be aware of that. If something goes wrong, like if, for example, putting a bag of garbage in the door, and just leaving it there. So now you got unwelcome guests there that will continue to come in the building. But if you don't have a key, reach out to management, get your key so that you won't allow unwelcome guests to come into the apartment. I had said to a young lady, because she was complaining about her video being on the monitor, and I said, well, until you get a key, it's gonna stay up there. You can't put garbage in the door for people to come in that shouldn't be in the building. I said, so how would you like for NYCHA to take your apartment door off your door? And then everybody could walk in your apartment. When I said that to her, then she realized what she had did was really, really wrong. So this program works in a very good way. I mean, the monitor, the tenants come in the building all day long looking at themselves, and they know somebody is watching them. They don't know whether it's NYCHA or the tenants, but it's the tenants watching each other. And I'm really enjoying this program.
Let me just explain to our listeners, because in addition to the walkie-talkie program, which Debra talked about, where we help the residents learn to use walkie-talkies that work even when there is no electricity, when everything goes down. And we also have a walkie-talkie app that works on the smartphone. So we got a couple different ways for residents to talk to each other. But in addition to that, we've been able to start live streaming video from the lobbies at Cooper Park. And there is a monitor mounted in the lobbies, and there's a camera there, and folks, as they come and go, can see themselves on that monitor. And in addition to that, there is a mobile application that works on the smartphone where folks can see themselves on the smartphone, wherever they are in anywhere in the country, anywhere in the planet for that matter, as long as you got Wi-Fi or internet access. You can see what's going on right there in your lobby. So I think, Deb, you were telling us about some lady that the garbage bag, she was propping the door open with the garbage bag. That was the whole idea, to keep the door open so she or her friends could come and go. Is that what was going on?
That's exactly what was going on. Yeah. She didn't like the fact that it was left on the screen for 3 weeks.
Okay.
And so I did have a conversation with her last week.
You guys had the recording of her playing back on the screen for 3 weeks of her putting that garbage bag out there. And what effect did that have, Deb?
Well, I haven't seen her put no garbage there no more. That was the best part here.
Yes.
I having to put the garbage there. And I explained to her, if you need a key, go to management and get a key. Because doing that with the garbage, just allow people to come in and out as they please. The door is there for a purpose. It's locked for a reason, Now,
tell us a little bit more about Cooper Park. How big is Cooper Park?
We have 13 addresses with 11 buildings. There's 700 apartments. So we have more than 1,500 families living out here.
Wow. So, wow. A pretty good size, yeah. And so now, how many folks participated in the walkie-talkie training that you guys did?
Well, we had 12. We have 10 that are on the calls basically every day.
And you said you are using the walkie-talkie every day doing building reports. Tell us about how that works.
Okay, so we have someone that's the NCO, which is the lead person every for a whole week. So they call in the morning saying that they're the oh geez, I can't remember the word right now.
they're building, reporting on their building.
The NCO person, they calling in every morning, giving say I'm calling in, I'm central, and I'm calling
network control,
central control, and we wait for everybody to give their building reports. So in the morning, so I'm Cooper 1, so they call, I call and give my report. Well, Cooper 1, we have elevator service and we have hot water. Is that a copy? So the commanding person will respond back and repeat what I said to them, and then they ask me, is that a good copy? And I will say, yes, it's a good copy. And then we'll say, have a good day. We in our stuff would have a good day, stay safe. So each person would get on that time of morning from 9 to 10, and then we do again in the evening from 6 to 7.
And why is that important, Deb? What's the significance?
Well, a lot of times when you call management, they claim they don't have a ticket. So in the event that you don't have hot water or you don't have elevator service, you can give the person the ticket number, and we could follow with management saying, well, it was reported. That's the bottom line for all this, to make sure everybody know that if there's an outage, you'll know, especially those that's on the call. And with the monitors, what happens is if say there's an outage, like this week we're gonna have outage tomorrow, we can post it on the monitors stating that the whole development won't have no hot water. This says those that are walking by in the lobby, in case they don't see the signs, they'll know the monitor states that there's no hot water for so-and-so day, or maybe there's no heat or whatever. So you'll know that this is what's going on in your development.
Oh, so you can post messages on the monitor. So not the folks are not just looking at the picture themselves in the lobby, they're looking at messages that you put on there. Is that right?
Yes.
So what kind of messages might you put on the other? You mentioned the outage. What else? How else would you use it?
Information, what's going on in the community. Like this summer we had a lot of events, so that's posted on there to let them know what's going on throughout the the whole summer. Again, it would be meetings. I mean, anything that people should know, and they're not paying attention to the signs on the wall, they will see it on the monitors.
Wow, so it's like electronic bulletin board.
Yes.
Exactly.
And now you guys control that yourselves, right?
Yes, it's the resident watching residents.
Yeah, I know. This. I mentioned my partner Doug Frazier. Now we've been working with residents for a number of years, and going back probably more than 10 years now, probably about 15 years. One of our associates who's now transitioned on, but he came up with the saying, "We are watching us." And I heard you talking a little bit earlier, Deb, about how in the community, especially when we were growing up, we're a little bit older than maybe some other folks. You had parents who were watching out for other kids. They weren't just watching for their kids; they're watching out for other kids. And if somebody did wrong, they was going to tell your parent about it. You was going to hear about it.
Exactly.
So I mean, are using the virtual tenant patrol? That's one of the things that we call it. These cameras where everybody is watching everybody. Is that kind of bringing back how we used to be? Is that the idea?
Yes, yes, yes. Because even like with the people that were put on the monitor, one parent had called me and said, "My son is embarrassed." It wasn't to embarrass him, but it was make him aware that this is something that you shouldn't be doing. And then there's the proof that nobody's like telling a fib on your child. The proof is right there.
Latisha, we haven't heard from you. What's been your experience? You went through the walkie-talkie program, radio training program. What did you think about it, T? You got to unmute yourself. We're waiting to hear from Miss Latisha Graham, one of the resident leaders of Cooper Park. Go ahead, T.
Hello.
Hi.
The program is really good. I was CO for a week or two, and it went pretty smooth.
So what did you learn? What was your biggest takeaway from the radio training?
I didn't hear you.
I said, what was your biggest takeaway from the radio training, from the walkie-talkie training? Are you using
Speaking
it?
to everybody, we use it every day. Every day for an hour, twice a day. Yeah.
One of the things, because I'm able to listen, you guys have two systems. You got a walkie-talkie system, which just works within your development. And then you also have another walkie-talkie system that works on your smartphone. And because, you guys let me be a member of that group, I'm able to hear you guys when you're on your smartphone network doing your building checks. And, I can't say, but it sounds like, you guys are like, I don't know if you talk to each other all the time anyway, but it seems like maybe you all are talking to each other and communicating with each other on a more regular basis. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Yes. Some of us.
Yes, some of us.
Okay. Some of you. Yeah. So, we're hoping, I know one of the ideas that Debra talked about was, building community with the technology, and that, the radio network is helping to build a community. And even though maybe everybody is not calling in on the radio, maybe, as we get further down the road, we can get more people involved.
Yes, that's the plan.
You think that's a good idea, T?
Yeah, definitely.
Miss Gerry, what do you think about that? I know you were a little bit hesitant. This Miss Gerry, she was a little hesitant to pick up the technology, I think. But what do you think, Gerry? What's your sense?
I enjoy it. I like it.
Okay.
We communicate 7 days a week.
Uh-huh. Every day, huh?
We do every day from Monday to Sunday. And we
Wow.
enjoy doing it. We keep it common, we can get a good grasp of what's going on in the community and what's going on in even in our homes. If something was to happen in our home, we can tell, call each other up and use it and say, well, somebody's sick, and can you help me if I'm not able to voice myself, get to the phone or anything like that. At least I can use that to say help. And I think that's the most important part of it also, that we can use it even to help one another. If anything get in the house, something happens, we can always communicate and let somebody know that we need help. And I believe that's a good part, especially we're trying to get our seniors and our young people both to come out and enjoy doing this. And that way they can get a sense of they need help, like the ADT with the phone on their neck. They can use their phones or their walkie-talkies and call for help if they're able to. At least do that, and somebody else in the house with them, or anything could happen. At least we'll be able to communicate with one another. And I really like that idea of it.
Yeah, I know, Deb, you had mentioned the lack of communication during COVID. I know a lot of folks got isolated. People couldn't go out. People were afraid to even interact with other people, and we didn't have your radio program at Cooper at that point in time. How might it have helped you, or going forward, if there's another lockdown, how would it help?
Well, at least we'll be able to communicate with somebody. A couple of winters ago, this would really have helped. No heat. People complain about not having heat. And the only reason I know they didn't have heat because I would call them myself and check on them. Had they had this program on their phone or walkie-talkie in the house, so we would have known people had heat or not have heat.
Yes.
We ended up losing someone because I didn't see the guy for like a week, 2 weeks at a time, and I happened to call his brother to do a wellness check. Now, had he had the walkie-talkie, I could have did the wellness check like that. Instead, it was a bad outcome. This would have kind of helped, with that outcome.
So that's interesting, Debbie. That's something that I learned from you guys, that we're not just doing building checks, we're doing wellness checks on people with the radio.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's important. That's that's so critical. Family, I know family tends to call each other, checking in with each other, but when we can involve the whole community, it really just kind of strengthens everybody, and puts a safety net out there that is there for the whole community.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, Deb, let me ask you. I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you think that we're going to be able to expand that program? Or what's your thinking about getting more people? You said with 10 or 12 people completed the program initially. What do you think about getting more people involved?
I think it's really important that more people get involved. So at our next monthly meeting, we will be speaking to the tenants about this program, and letting them know they can get involved. It's more than just the radio part of that program. I mean, the monitors in the lobby is important, but we need people that can be technical with putting information on those boards for us. So I mean, especially like the young folks, they like computers and stuff. So this will be a good idea for them to come out and do some training as well.
Yeah, I know one of the things that we've talked about that the next phase is to really kind of expand the training so that we can get some real skills to more and more people in the community, both young and old. Not just working on the walkie-talkies and radios, but like you said, learning how to program the information streams. Because you guys have the capability, as we put more and more lobby kiosks, and what we say, 7 buildings, Deb?
We have 13.
How many lobbies? Let me ask you, how many lobbies do you have?
13.
Wow. Okay, so we got a few more streaming stations that we need to put in there, and of course, once they all get in, we'll have the capability to program each one. You'll have the capability to do a global announcement. Hey, we got bad weather, snowstorm coming or whatever. as well as individual per building announcements. So that's one of the things that we want to teach the residents to do. I know Latisha, she's going to be one of our pride students there, Miss T. She's got a good technical know-how and going to be, I think you already kind of played around with it a little bit already, didn't you, T? We're waiting for T to turn her mic on. Go ahead, T.
Yes, I did. I played around with it.
Uh-huh. You put some messages out there?
Excuse me?
Did you put some messages on the screen?
I did.
Uh-huh,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
I don't remember, but I did.
Well, we're gonna be hopefully starting some more, a whole nother training cycle where you and others are gonna really practice that and learn that because it's an important skill. You know, you got the tools and we want everybody to be able to use them. Okay, we're going to take a brief break here. We've been speaking with Miss Debra, Miss Geraldine, and Miss Latisha from Cooper Park Resident Council in Brooklyn, New York, about their public safety and quality of life program. We're going to take a break and be right back after a brief musical interlude. Stay tuned. You listen to WHCR 90.3 FM, Community and Technology. Be right back.
If you're driving through the country on a lazy afternoon, or you're watching your children playing after school, they seem to be so unaware of, I know the things that they'll soon have to take care of. We've got to do something, yeah, to save the children. Soon it will be their turns to try and save the world. Right now they seem to play such a small part of the things that they'll soon be right at the heart of. My little Tommy, he said he wants to be a fireman. And little Mary, she said she got to teach school. If we know all we say we know about the problems, got to do something, yeah, to save the children. Soon it will be their turns to try and save the world. We've got to do something, yeah, to save the children. To save the children. To save the children.
Okay, we're back. Community Technology on WHCR 90.3 FM. We're talking with resident leaders at Cooper Park in Brooklyn, Miss Debra Benders, Miss Latisha Graham, and Miss Geraldine, give me your last name, I'm sorry.
Lawrence.
Geraldine Lawrence. How could I forget that? Miss Geraldine Lawrence. All the big shots to leaders at Cooper Park in Brooklyn. And they have been really on the forefront of using technology to help improve the quality of life and public safety at their development. And I wanted to ask, again, at the top of the show, I mentioned that September is National Emergency Preparedness Month. And I'm wondering whether or not any of you guys have any experience or any training in emergency preparedness.
Well, we had a session one time where they gave us emergency prepared bags, telling us the things you should have in these bags.
Mm-hmm.
Based on how many people in your household, you should have at least 3 gallons of water per person.
Mm-hmm.
3 days worth of food.
Mm-hmm.
All the information you should have in a bag. So in the case where you have to evacuate, you'll have your information in your bag.
Mm-hmm.
I met with someone last week, and we are trying to do another event here as well for that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just had some folks on the show last week who have been working in emergency preparedness for a decade or so. And just by way of background, when Superstorm Sandy hit in 2012, Harlem got flooded, parts of Harlem flooded where it had never flooded before. And, Far Rockaway, and I mean, a lot of the city got really negatively impacted. And here at WHCR Radio, one of our missions is to keep folks informed about what's going on. And people could not get into the station because of the weather conditions, the flooding, etc. So we had to shut the station down and go on autopilot. Miss Angela Harden was a general manager then and still is today. And what she and some of the local folks, technology folks, decided was we need to create a way to get messages out even when there's a disaster. And so one of the things that we do now is we're able to go into the radio station remotely and put messages on the air, even if you can't get into the studio. Mm-hmm. And even more importantly, we started the WHCR emergency broadcast team called WEBT, where we train folks in the community to use the walkie-talkies and the radios, just like you guys have gone through that radio training. I went through it. I was taught by a guy named Wally Abdul Noor. It's going back, I guess, 10, 11 years now. And I learned the walkie-talkie stuff and the language and how to use it. And we trained folks around the Harlem community, mostly in public housing, but not exclusively, so that we would have folks in the community that could report back over the walkie-talkie to the radio station and let folks know that what was going on. Because one of the things I know you guys know, you listen to the major media, they'll tell you what's going on downtown, but they don't tell you what's going on your block or in your neighborhood.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the things that we, decided we wanted to do at WEBT. And that's one of the same things that, you guys are going to be able to do as you develop and expand your radio operation. In an emergency, you're going to be able to get out information about what's going on in your community. And, we learned things about how to vet the information, because you're on the radio, you don't want to put out information that's inaccurate. You don't want to just be reacting and not knowing what's going on, because that doesn't help anybody. And so, you learn, and you guys have already gone through some of that, and I'm sure we'll be going through more of it, where you'll be trained as to, how to report on emergency and how to communicate clearly and effectively in an emergency. And it's so important. We're going to be having Harlem Emergency Preparedness Day at City College. And I'm hoping that we can get Debra and Gerry and maybe T as well to come and talk about what you guys are doing in Brooklyn. Harlem, that's where we started, but now we are expanding in Brooklyn. And we want to make the Brooklyn community as robust and as safe and as connected as we've been able to do in Harlem. So just remind the folks that are listening, Thursday, September 28th from noon to 4 p.m. on the campus of City College, 160 Convent Avenue. We're going to be doing a whole series of workshops and demonstrations. You can learn about CPR. You can learn about what to do in an active shooter situation. You can learn what to do if we have another smoke event. That was crazy, that smoke event we had when the smoke coming down from Canada with those fires. And it looks like that stuff is not going to go away. That's probably going to happen again. And so, what do we do? How to respond to that? So all of this is going to be talked about on Harlem Emergency Preparedness Day, September 28th, City College. And for those who can't actually come, we'd love you to come. If you register in advance on our website, I'll give you the site in a minute, there's going to be a free lunch. But if you can't come, we're going to be streaming it live. We also work with the Internet Society, of which I'm on the board of directors and been working with the Internet Society. They're a global organization whose mission is to get people connected to the internet and to keep the internet as robust and free and open as possible. There's a New York chapter here in New York City, and I've been active with the New York chapter. And pre-pandemic, they live streamed 2 or 3 of our Emergency Preparedness Day events. Well, now that the pandemic is more or less over, we're back online and we'll be streaming it live. So I just want to mention our websites, WHCR.org and WHCREBT.org. The EBT stands for Emergency Broadcast Team. So WHCREBT.org and WHCR.org. You can go there right now today and find out more information about the Emergency Preparedness Day event, as well as on the day of, you can go there and actually see the event. So, we are recording a couple of days before our broadcast day. Today is Monday, September 11th, 2023. And it's the anniversary, I guess it's the 22nd anniversary of 911.
Mm-hmm.
And that was an emergency like none I've ever seen before. I was sitting at home drinking my coffee, getting ready to hop on the train to run out to my office. At the time, I had an office in Midtown, and I was about to hop on the train to go down there and heard a report. A plane flew into World Trade Center. I'm thinking some knucklehead, a private pilot with a little plane messed up and had an accident. And then I turned around and we saw that big ass plane, the second one make that U-turn and wham, it was like, wow, this looks like the end of the world here. What was your guys' experience with that? Where were you, and tell us about your experience with that?
My experience, I was working for MTA at the time. I was at work, 14th Street and 8th Avenue, and I got a phone call. Somebody at the plane hit the building, and my first reaction was, "Is he drunk this morning?"
Yeah, right.
I'm like, "Is he drunk this morning?" And then the phone went dead. My sister called me. She goes, "D, a plane hit the building." I said, "Oh God, I thought the man was drunk." Calling me, telling me about the plane hit the building. And at that point, I was really worried about my kids. How was it? Because they was in school. How were they going to get home? And especially have a child that's wheelchair bound. How was he going to be able to get home? And luckily enough, the schools let the kids out early. But then my next thought was, well, how in the heck am I going to get from Manhattan to Brooklyn? And just think about that walk home. I said, Lord, I'll probably still be walking. I had to walk home. But luckily enough, the trains came back in service. I mean, there was a lot of people that lost their lives, which was so, so sad. And co-workers that worked at the World Trade Center, they were told to monitor the money. to make sure the money was okay. And it's like, worry about money. How about your life? You know, it was like kind of devastating. But I had one supervisor who was really concerned that I was concerned about my kids and making sure I was able to get home safe. So, I mean, I wouldn't wish that experience on nobody. Nobody at all.
Gerry, what was your experience with 911?
Well, I was like you. I was at home. I was drinking my coffee. I was at home, and I saw it on TV. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I said, "Oh my God! Look, the plane ran right into the building." And then the second one hit, and then that's when they was on the news, and it was just the people. It just was so many people lost their lives that day. But it was a tragedy for us in New York, because that was the first time anything ever it came out in New York, in the United States, really. Tell you the honest truth, because we never was hit like that before.
Yeah.
You see it in other countries, you see it everywhere else. But in New York City, in the United States, never happened. But that was one terrible day. And that's a lesson that we're not involved, what they would call it, we're not
invulnerable.
Right. To
Mm-hmm.
being attacked also.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they learned a lot to be alert, because I think they let their guard down a little bit on that time, at that time. And they didn't pay attention. They, you know, nobody's gonna come and do that in the United States. And that's how I felt about, you know, that. And my son was in high school, going to high school, and leadership, where he went, is in where's downtown at that time. But thank God everything was okay. Got home safe and everything. But you know, it was an experience.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Miss T, how about you? Were you in New York when that happened?
Yes, I was in New York. I was home as well. And I heard World Trade Center. I grew up knowing it as the Twin Towers. So I didn't even know that it was the World Trade Center until I looked out my window. I had the whole view, and I can actually see the second plane hit.
Whoa, out your window?
Yeah.
Whoa, wow.
Yeah.
That must have been kind of frightening.
It was scary, very scary.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I have a good friend who's now passed away, but he was downtown in the area, and he looked up. He was in the actual vicinity of the World Trade Center. He looked up and he saw the second plane hit, and he was terrified. And folks didn't know what to do. And there was a blind person that he stumbled across that didn't know what to do. And my friend ended up walking the blind person uptown like 30, 40 blocks to safety. Yeah, he was an incredible person, like a good Samaritan like that. But there are so many stories of people helping each other out. You know, even though we lost thousands of lives, there are a lot of lives saved by the love and the quick thinking of other folks looking out for other folks,
helping one another. Yes.
Yeah, helping one another. And that, you know, and again, that's the whole thing about public safety. You know, when stuff happens, you cannot count on the first responders coming to save you. We got to count on each other. We got to be there for each other. You know, one of the things that I learned from some of my other emergency responder team folks is they're called the yo-yo theory. You're on your own. Y-O-Y-O. You're on your own. When an emergency hits, you got to have your own plan. You got to have a plan. You know, generally there are two things that happen when an emergency, two options, I should say. You can either shelter in place. It's dangerous outside. Don't go outside. And in which case you have all the stuff that Deb was talking about earlier about having your water and your flashlights and your food, or you got to go, in which case you got to have your go bag. And then, you know, that's one of the things that we talk about both on our website and at the event that's coming up, all the things that got to go in your go bag. You know, things like your medical prescriptions, your important ID information. And, you know, when an emergency hits and you got to get out of the house is on fire, you don't have time to think about nothing. You just got to get the heck out of there.
Yeah.
So if you're able to have your important stuff in a bag, at least maybe you can say, "Oh, let me grab my bag." And you got
just
your
grab and
ID in
go.
there, you got your medical prescriptions in there, you got some small bills, and that's one of the things also. If you remember, in some emergencies, the ATM machines went down. You know, when we had big power outages, the ATM machines stopped working. And so, you know, you can't go around with no big bills. You got some $100 bills stashed. God bless you if you do. But you know, you go in the store and you know, folks can't change that. You can't, you know, they're not taking it. Or if they do, you spend $100 just to get you some water. So small bills, that's one of the other things that you need to have in your go bag. So, you know, you stay or go. Those are the two big options in an emergency. But again, just to kind of reiterate, you know, we got to be looking out for each other. We got to have our own plans. We got to have our own plan for our family. You know, if we got to go somewhere, where do we meet? You got to have a meeting place, you know, that you've talked about with your family. You got to get out the house. Maybe it's the church. Maybe it's a community center. Maybe it's a relative who lives around the corner, down the block. But, you know, you got to have someplace to go. Fortunately, we got our walkie-talkie, so we'll have a way to communicate with each other, with our family, even when the phones go down. And, you know, I can remember the last big power outage we had. You guys were, I'm sure, in New York as well. It lasted in some places 3-4 days. And in some communities, you know, the cell phone towers have battery backup. But a lot of times that only lasts for 24 or 48 hours. So the cell phones started to go down after 2 or 3 days. So, you know, some folks are lucky enough to have the old-fashioned phones that were hardwired, not a wireless phone at home, but if you got a hardwire phone, the power on those things is run over the phone line itself from the phone company. So those phones, if you have an old-fashioned phone like that, keep it.
Yes.
Do not give it up.
Nope.
Keep it.
Mm-mm.
Because that's going to work even when the power goes out. So you know, one of the other things that I've learned about is having backup power, backup batteries, backup ways to charge your phone, backup generators. You know, one of the things that, you know, I haven't been able to afford it personally, but one of the things that I want to have for my home is one of those big ass generators that can run your key stuff in your house for a few days. And even when the power goes out, you can have a solar panel on your rooftop or outside your window that can recharge it. So you got a way to have some power in your house even when everything goes down. You know, to maybe just your refrigerator, maybe just your radio, your computer, so you can go online. And you know, one of the things that I'd mentioned that one of the things that we're going to be doing with Debra and Gerry and Latisha at Cooper is putting in emergency Wi-Fi access points that are on backup emergency power. So that even when the power goes out, you can have internet in the lobbies of your building. That's something that we're going to be retrofitting as we move forward. And I've been working with Deb and her team to help find some financing to help bring us some money to expand and really what they call harden the facility, if you will, so that it works even in a power outage. That's something really important. It's not crazy expensive, but it's something you got to do. And again, the wrong time to think about what you do is when the emergency hits, because you don't have time to think then. Right? Am I right?
Exactly.
You're right. No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
You guys have any experience with the last big power outage? What was it like at Cooper? It's probably going back about 10 years or so, right?
I know when that happened, my son was outside, so management had to carry his wheelchair upstairs. Luckily, my sister lived on the 3rd floor, so they carried the chair to the 3rd floor. It was scary because no elevator.
Wow, yeah, no elevator. That's good. How tall are your buildings, Deb?
7 stories.
7 stories.
Yeah, that's a lot of walking. That's a
Yes.
lot of walking. I know one of the ladies that you'll meet if you come to our event on the 28th, a sister named Carol Johnson. She runs the East Harlem Co-ed. She's been involved in emergency preparedness for decades. And she's not wheelchair bound, but she's a little challenged with walking around. And she has a motorized scooter, even though she can't walk, and she can dance. I mean, used to be a performer and a singer. She's an amazing lady. But she talked at a couple of our seminars about how to get people out the building when the elevator stops working and they can't walk. And she talked about making sliding boards out of blankets to slide down the stairs. She's got all kind of creative ways to get people out the building when they got to leave, and they can't walk and the elevator's not
Right.
working.
Yeah, well, on that point, we can't always rely on management to do stuff. We have to learn how to do things on our own.
Yeah.
That's right.
The thing about this program is us watching us. It's not management watching us. It's us taking care of ourselves.
Mm-hmm. That's so important. We are watching us. My friend, I got to call out his name. Hayward Dawson is the brother's name. He's gone now, but you guys would love this guy. He was he was a Rhodes Scholar. He was a athlete. He was on the Knicks for a while. He went to school with me at Columbia. He was part of back in the day when Columbia had a championship basketball team back in the 60s. He was the lead point guard. He was an amazing guy. And he was the one that came up with this slogan, "We are watching us." I remember there's a funny story. First time we made some posters that we put in the lobby, I went to the printer and I had the printer. I said, "Hey, I want some posters." He said, "Don't you mean we are watching you?" I said, "No, no, 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 no. This is not the police. This is not management. We are watching us." And he was like, "Oh, wow. Oh, okay." It kind of, caught him off guard because it was kind of a novel idea. Not somebody else is watching you, but we're watching each other. And that's the whole idea of the resident training and the resident public safety program that we're working together to help implement and expand. We're kind of getting towards the end of the show here. What is there anything else that you guys wanted to talk about? Deb, is this something that you think would make sense to expand in other parts of Brooklyn? What you're doing at Cooper Park?
Yes, because some developments, they have high crime. This would really, really help them, because it'll be, instead of having the police there all the time, the residents will be watching each other, And like I said from the beginning, if we got back to when everybody's parents was our parents, things would work fine. I really hope this program can go to other developments in Brooklyn, because this is a good program. And I know from Cooper Park, just now with the buildings that we have, the monitors in the lobby, the people are not hanging in the lobbies no more. They know somebody's watching them, The doors are being closed more often, and now they see something in the door, they are removing it. So it's working here. It's really working here. And I like to look at the monitor. I watch the kids going, even the adults come in the building, and they're watching themselves and they're posing on the monitor. They're having more fun looking at themselves than anything else and not realizing what this program is really about.
Well, that's good. We're gonna certainly do everything we can to help expand it because we've been doing it in Harlem. We started in the South Bronx. The whole virtual tenant patrol program started with the resident leader who's now gone. I just want to call his name out too, John Johnson. He was an incredible brother from the South Bronx. He was the president of Mott Haven Houses. He was the chairman of the South Bronx citywide, the South Bronx Council of Presidents. And for a while, he was chairman of the entire citywide Council of Presidents. As you guys know, that's the whole conglomeration of all the public housing NYCHA resident leaders. This guy was the chairman of the whole thing for a while. He was a very visionary guy. He was the first one that came to me and my partner, Doug Frazier, and said, "Hey, I have a problem with my seniors are getting bothered in the lobby here. Can you put a camera in the lobby so that we can watch?" And this is about at least 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. And we put a camera in there and we're able to put the video image on the smartphones, which was kind of new back then. We put it on the smartphones and on the tablets, and it changed everything. And he was the one, John Johnson, that came. He said, "Oh, this is like a virtual tenant patrol. I don't have to have my seniors sitting in the lobby anymore, trying to sitting in harm's way, waiting for the bad guys to come in. And what are they going to do?" He said, "This way, they could be sitting in their homes and see what's going on. And if there's a problem, they can call for help, call 911 or whomever. This is virtual tenant patrol." John Johnson named it that, a resident leader from the South Bronx.
One thing about this program, you can also record what you see. Nobody can say, "Well, that didn't happen." Yeah, it did happen because I have proof of it, so that's a good thing too.
And one of the other things that some of the other I don't know if you've experienced yet, but some of the other developments where UPS and Federal Express delivering packages. Sometimes they say a package was delivered and it wasn't delivered. You got video evidence to show what happened or didn't happen. So it really is a way to, really enhance quality of life. That's how I see it. Okay, well, any final thoughts on Miss Latisha? You've been kind of quiet. You got any final comments you want to kick around there for our listeners? We're waiting for Miss T to turn her microphone on.
She said she don't have any more comments.
Oh, okay. Gerry, any final thoughts?
Yes, I think the idea of what you and Doug have done and working with the NYCHA, with the new ideas of the monitors and the keeping up with one another and the resident council. You're right. My mother was an old-time resident council. Who was she gonna beat up out there if somebody else came into the lobby and watching? Now we can watch from in our apartments and don't have to worry about being accosted or something happened to them. But I thank God for what y'all are doing, and I hope it's progress to being more in Brooklyn and come and they'll gravitate to doing this program because it's beautiful. It's a beautiful program.
Well, not to be the dead horse, but this is a resident program. Me and Doug and our technology team, we're just helping. You guys are the tip of the spear in making this stuff happen.
Okay.
And we hope to be training more and more residents so you guys can just take the ball and run with this thing. Deb, any final thoughts?
I really thank y'all for coming out here. I thank Ethel Velez for introducing me to you guys, because without me knowing Ethel, I would never know you. And I really appreciate her giving me some information about this program. It's a wonderful program. I hope the rest of Brooklyn gets it. I hope all the boroughs get it. But we got to start at home first. So thank you so much.
Okay. Well, thank you. We've been speaking with Debra Benders, Gerry Lawrence, and Latisha Graham from Cooper Park Houses in Brooklyn, New York, about their public safety and quality of life program. Thank you so much, ladies, for coming on Community Technology. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you,
okay,
sir.
and hope to see you September 28th, noon to 4 p.m., City College, Harlem Emergency Preparedness Day.
Take care.
Okay. Thanks again. You've been listening to Community Technology on WHR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. Stay tuned every Wednesday, 5 to 6 p.m. Just might learn something. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.